Dallas had 14 penalties for over 160 yards of penalty yards. It's unacceptable. The inopportune penalties for the Cowboys really stood out in this one. And a lot of these penalties, they came on third downs where the Raiders were able to get a conversion, but they were bailed out by a penalty simply just because Dallas was making mental mistakes. And really, the one corner for Dallas that was having just a bad game from beginning to end was Anthony Brown. He had 4 penalties in this game, all of which were defensive pass interferences. And the last one that he gave up was the one that set up the Raiders in field goal position in overtime that eventually led to the game-winning field goal for Las Vegas. So as a whole, defensively, the Cowboys just sucked. Gave up over 36 points to a team that had been struggling of late with the Las Vegas Raiders. Vegas had really kind of had a difficult stretch where they were not able to score points on a consistent basis. But they come into Dallas on Thanksgiving Day and they just annihilate this Cowboys secondary for 36 points. And Dallas has had a pretty decent defense in stretches. But really, these last couple games that they've been playing in, they've really kind of struggled as a unit. And this one really kind of highlights the work that needs to be done as far as their secondary goes. When this team is not committing turnovers from the opposing offenses they're playing against, this team can give up points. And we saw it in this matchup where Derek Carr was able to light up that secondary, and that Raiders offense had over 500 yards of total offense. As a unit, you can't have that from the Cowboys defense. And that's despite the fact that I thought Dak Prescott had a relatively good game. Dak was the one trying to keep them in it because Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb were not in this game. Amari's dealing with COVID right now, and CeeDee Lamb didn't pass the concussion protocol going into this game, so he was out as well. And Dak, to his credit, was keeping them in it despite the fact that offensively, there were times where the Cowboys just could not get a lot going, and the run game was non-existent from Dallas in this one. Because when you look at the Cowboys' rushing attack, between Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, they only had 61 yards of rush yards against Las Vegas. You just can't have that. These guys are more than capable of combining for 125 to 150 yards on the ground and only getting 61 yards, with Ezekiel Elliott getting the only rushing touchdown between the two of them. Just can't have that. And give Vegas credit, though. They were able to step up and they were able to contain that Dallas rushing attack that has Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. But, even though that Dak, I thought, had a relatively good game, there were some throws that he missed, and especially in the overtime period when they're backed up pretty far on their own end of the field. And on a 3rd and 4, he had a chance to complete a pass to, I believe, Noah Brown, and he was rolling out, and Brown was open. Dak just missed him. And it resulted in a punt, and it essentially led the Raiders on a drive to get the game-winning field goal that gave them the win. So when I look at Dallas, overall, I thought offensively they were good in spurts, and defensively, man, they were just wide open for attack today, and the Raiders took them to task for it. And for everybody that's complaining about the refs in this game, look, it was definitely a deterrence from this game just because with the number of penalties that were in this game, there were 28 altogether. It led to an annoying game overall just because I felt like the refs were in for most of the game. They were always a focal point within that game. But it does highlight one thing. The Cowboys, man, they cannot have these mental mistakes because a lot of these penalties that they had were mental mistakes. Anthony Brown had 4 of them. I forget who jumped off sides twice on the last possession that the Raiders had when they were lining up for the game-winning field goal. But they had back-to-back offsides penalties that bumped them from a 39-yard field goal to a 29-yard field goal. I mean, these are mental mistakes that you just can't have as a unit as far as the Cowboys go. But as a team, man, they just sucked with the penalties today. And that's why they're sitting at 7-4, and they've lost two straight games.